Hey, this is Steph, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast. Season 2. Hello, everyone. I'm Steph Vachon, and I'm a human being. Again, welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast, finally loving and respecting ourselves. This is a podcast for the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, along with our friends, allies, and all human beings. I'm way too excited to be here with you for today's episode. Yes, the US figure skating champion and Olympic medalist, Jason Brown, is with us today. Can I scream right now? Oh my god. But to start, I need to say that I'm not a psychologist, a specialist, or someone with a college degree. I'm just a regular guy here to share with all of you and support each other. I won't tell anyone what to do or how to do things. Instead, I'll share my journey and we will all share journeys together. We'll learn from each other how to move forward. Before we go any further, if you like this podcast, please subscribe now and share, because the more we unite, the stronger we become. It might seem like a small gesture, but it truly makes a huge difference. Okay, let's talk about today's guest. Today, I'm joined by one of the all-time best figure skaters in the world, Jason Brown. Known around the world for his artistry, authenticity, and emotional connection on the ice, Jason has captured hearts not just with his performances, but also with his courage off the rink. In 2021, he publicly came out, becoming a powerful voice for the LGBTQ plus visibility in the world of elite sports. Let's dive into his journey of self discovery and the beauty of embracing your true self, both on and off the ice. I'll really try my best to stay calm because I'm really nervous and excited. So let's go meet him right now. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, you. Thank you so
Good.
much. So, hello, Jason, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast. I'm really excited you accepted the invitation.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. So excited to get to talk to you today.
You've shared glimpse of your personal journey as a gay man in figure skating. What was your own coming out process like, both privately and publicly?
Oh my gosh. How to say it in somewhat of a condensed way. So for me, what was really, I don't think I realized how unusual it was, but I have a really insanely supportive family. And growing up in the skating community, I was just surrounded by tons of different types of people with a range of sexuality, and I think it was just something that was so normalized in my life, so it wasn't something that I really stressed about growing up. So I wasn't also dating at all. So like I think a lot of times when people are like in elementary school, middle, well, no, maybe not elementary school, but middle school and high school, they're really kind of, that's the time where they're starting to date and like people and like kind of explore that, and especially college as well. But for me, I was really focused on my training and skating. And so it wasn't, I guess, something that I was constantly thinking about.
Mhm.
And that was constantly on my mind. And at the same time, it was something that was so normalized around me, like just sexuality in general, that it wasn't also something that I was constantly questioning or in any kind of yeah, in any way. Like it's an interesting, it was just really interesting growing up that way, like just having it just being constantly open. That said, when I was starting to explore that part of me, I did go on some dates with women at times. And then one of my best friends was like, I want to set you up with a guy. And I was like, okay, hey, I'm down. Like, wasn't trying, like, I wasn't connecting, and I was kind of like, sure, go for it. I'm completely down. And I remember, my sister called me one night and she was like, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm on my way to go out. Like I'm going my one of my best friends, Emily, set me up on this date." And she was like, "Oh, with who?" And I was like, "This guy." She goes, "Really? That's so fun." Like that was like I'm not like that was kind of my coming out in some ways to my sister. Like it was never something that like I was hiding or that like I was super self-conscious about with my family, but it was also something that like I just didn't know And I just really didn't explore that side of me until kind of having those experiences. And then once I started dating this one guy, and the relationship did not last very long, but it was a great for me. It was like a jumping off point of a conversation with the people closest to me. So that's when I really first like I was like, okay, wait, I actually like now I understand, like I mentioned, I had gone on dates with women, but I was like, oh, like this is a different feeling. And I was like, oh, like even just when I like I mentioned telling my sister, and then when I was like a week or two into dating this guy, I told my parents. Like I like had a conversation with my mom, and I was like, so like I started dating this guy, and she was like, tell me about him. Like it was just like full on,
Wow.
and her like actual like honest response was like, I've been waiting 20 years to talk to you about this, which was so funny. She has tons of gay friends, and they were like, they all told me I couldn't ask until you came to me. So it was like, it was one of those things that it was just like a very open, loving, supportive relationship with in all sense of the words. That said, so after a couple, basically maybe like a year or two after I dated this guy, that's when I was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna say something publicly, more because it was actually a really interesting time. It was during COVID, everything kind of shut down. And I remember during that time, and I imagine that you experienced this as well, there was just a lot of people starting to talk about their experiences
Mm.
and having those difficult conversations. And just like while we were all shut down, and I realized how rare, I guess rare is not the best way of putting it, but how it wasn't as normal as I thought in other people's lives to this day. I
Mhm.
understand, and I know the history, and I understand that it wasn't, it was something that people fought for so long to make it normal. And in my life, it was because of those people ahead of me that normalized it for me. And so I was really taken aback when I heard how it still wasn't that way for so many people. And so it was kind of then where I was like, okay, like I was like I really wanted to say something, and I wanted to throw my hat in a ring to then also normalize it for the people for that next
Yeah.
generation. Just as like not as I'm not as exactly saying like as a way to pay it forward, but it was just like I had this like I don't want to call it an epiphany, but I just like really realized how much that generation ahead of me paved this way that like I mentioned that I just felt so comfortable that I was like, how could I not do that for that future generation when I was in a place where I was so comfortable with who I was? I don't ever want anyone to feel like they have to speak out or say anything or do anything that like they're not ready for. But I think I had that moment where I was like, not saying I have nothing to hide, but that feeling of just like I was like, oh my gosh, like I really was confident in who I was. Um, and I one night I couldn't sleep, just totally random, and I like started to like write basically some thoughts down, and then the next it was like literally 3 days later I like posted what I wrote. Like it just came, and I like ended up doing it in like an Instagram post. And yeah, but for my family it was just like an average Friday.
Wow. You know how lucky you are, but this is so cool. This is people need to hear this. Like it should be normal. That's totally amazing. That's really cool.
No, and I mean I really am so incredibly grateful, and I think
Mhm.
like I mentioned, it's because of those before me. I think once that we were in those shutdowns, and during that time, there was a lot of like gay rights being kind of with the fear of the reversals, and like there's so much going on during that time period. But there was a lot of conversation that that I was having, and people and my friends were having, and I was just I don't know, I was so shocked. And I don't want to say like I was so oblivious to it, but in a lot of ways, I really was to how it wasn't as normal in other circles as it was in mine.
Figure skating is a beautiful but high pressure world. As an LGBTQ plus athlete, did you ever feel like you had to hide parts of yourself to be accepted?
That's a great question. I think I guess it's like kind of twofold. So in the short answer is no in terms of the skating community. I've always felt is just so incredibly supportive. Like I grew up like since I was 10 years old, I was working with a choreographer who was gay. Like I think it was just like I had coaches and judges and people that were constantly around me that were, and so it wasn't, and obviously other skaters. So I didn't have those kind of concerns or feel uncomfortable or felt like I needed to hide in any way that way.
Mhm.
I think when it comes to public persona and I think sports in general, I don't think it's uh, only unique to LGBTQ plus like that community. But I think in general, you just never know, and you're always questioning how much to share
Mhm.
about yourself personally. So I think like of course that's a part of it. So when we talk about like what to hide, it wasn't specifically that I was like hiding who I was as much as it's like wouldn't want to share parts of myself until I knew who I was, until I
Mhm.
could kind of figure out my identity. I really felt comfortable in my skin, and so I never acted in a way to conceal who I was.
Mhm.
It just wasn't something that I was sharing with people publicly. And that wasn't because I was embarrassed or ashamed. It was more of like, I personally don't share all the things about me publicly. And like, and there's a lot of things that like, even like certain opinions about things, like I wouldn't want to share until like I was really like sure of that opinion. And especially in a sport like figure skating, we're so young for the most parts of our career.
Mhm.
Like I'm ancient in this sport now, which is crazy. Like I don't know how it's possible, but we are so young and those are so much formative years. So I think it was just also trying to figure out and navigate what I wanted people to know about me and what I was still trying to get to know about myself at the same time. So it really wasn't about me hiding something because of that as much as it was trying to still figure out my identity. And then once I was kind of confident in who I was and I kind of understood and knew who I was, that's when I
Mhm.
was ready to share.
And probably also because you had the support of your family that was normal for you. So that I'm sure that helped you a lot.
Oh, I night and day, it would have been a completely different scenario. And I
Mhm.
do think it's also like so because I also was completely myself in all these situations too, it was not even the slightest bit of shock to anyone in my family. So it wasn't even like it was almost like there was just more of a celebration of like, now I don't even call it a relief, but it was like, oh, we can finally talk to you about this. Like I think
Mhm.
everyone was not saying they were walking on eggshells, but I think it was like they really wanted me to come to them first. And like I mentioned, I really wasn't like it wasn't like I was dating a ton or it wasn't
Mhm.
like I was really focused in sport and really focused on that. And still to this day, I really haven't dated much. I think it was, but when I did, tell them, everyone could not have been more loving and supportive. And also, no one was shocked.
Well, it's good too that they were respecting the timing of you telling them, you know?
No,
That's
it's
really good.
no, really, very true.
Looking back, were there key moments or people who made you feel seen, safe, and supported in your identity?
I know a lot of people always use that phrase of just like how important visibility is. And I
Mhm.
think that because it was a constant in my life. So my parents had gay friends, I had cousins that were gay. So I think it was also, and of course, in the skating community, like I mentioned, coaches, choreographers, judges, like I was other skaters, like I was just like really was immersed in it. And I think another huge part of that was within the culture, I think something that I found really interesting for me was that like no single person in my life who was part of that community were the same. Like everyone was so vastly different and like that part of their life, that's the sexuality piece didn't define any of them.
Mhm.
And I think that like that was also such a huge part of my upbringing growing up where it wasn't something that I felt, oh my gosh, being gay will define me. And that said, it's like, what does that, what does that even mean in reality? You're like, that's just another part of who I am. Just like, my parents really wanted to make sure that I had this well-rounded childhood when it came to sport as well. So like they like were very adamant about like, we want to raise you at home with your siblings, and like you're going to public school with your siblings. And like that was really important because they were like, we don't want you to like look at yourself as just a skater.
Mhm.
Like you're also part of this family, you're a student, like whatever happens on the ice, like there's a whole nother, there's so many more aspects of your life. And so I think like the sexuality piece was just another one of those aspects. And
Mhm.
so it wasn't as defining as I know, and I've heard from so many other people who have really struggled to come out or have, are on their journey. It's that feeling of like, oh my gosh, this will define who I am, or
Mhm.
this will make or break my career. And I think it was constantly instilled in me since I was a kid. And maybe that's also, I don't want to, dismiss the fact that maybe because my family knew, like somewhat knew, maybe that was something that they also really tried to like, um, they try to create these spaces where like I could come to them in any situation, or they really vocalize that like there's just so many different parts to us and nothing,
Mhm.
no one part defined us. So that could also be part of that, but yeah. And I think for me also with skating, I fell in love with the sport because of that artistic aspect and the fact that like it was this outlet to express myself. And so like I always tried to go about doing so genuinely.
How has your relationship with self acceptance evolved over time, especially as someone constantly in the public eye?
Oh. Oh, it's evolved. Let me just say like it drastically. Like I also think that it's so fascinating, I think, just in every aspect it's changed. Like even just like I used to be someone that like hated competing and I was really nervous, and like I just like would think I was gonna vomit before every competition, like when I was little. And it was like even just like working with sports psychologists and like speaking through your emotions and like working through those experiences. And then, fast forward, I've now gone through every high and low in the sport. Just like rising to the occasion and also bombing in times and really struggling in situations where I've kind of crashed and burned. So I think I've gone through it all and kind of been able to come out the other side and feeling stronger, and in a lot of ways finding my voice and becoming more empowered. And it's been a really neat kind of full circle career in a
Mhm.
lot of ways. Just even now, sometimes like kids will come up to me or parents will come up to me and they're like, we're just so, thank you so much for being so kind to our kids and like making yourself so holding yourself in a way where our kids feel comfortable coming up to you and like asking you questions. And I always just say like, I was that kid that was so shy and I like really wanted to go up to that skater that I admired, and I was like too afraid and too nervous. And I like and I like, told myself like, if I ever got to a place where like to be one of those skaters where people look up to, like I want them to feel so comfortable to come to me and talk to me and ask me questions. And do they want a picture? Do they want an autograph? Like, I really wanted to be as open to that next generation as possible. So it is just like for me, it's just like even that just shows that arc, that transition throughout the sport. But it goes, I guess, through anything. It's also kind of rare in skating where athletes are in it for as long as I have been. So I feel like I've also seen so many different my career have spanned over so many different generations. And so I think throughout that, I've also have been in that generation where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm a first year senior looking up to this, you know, generation of skaters and admiring them and being at events with them, just being like, how in the world am I in the same event as you?
Mhm.
To now it's like the flip side where like a skater will come up to me and I was like, wait, what? Like, wait, I'm so like, I'll be at a competition and they'll be like, can I take a photo with you, during the event or post the event? I was like, wait, like this is, and I'm so insanely touched by it, and I'm they'll recall a program that I did a decade ago. And I like, do you know, like, it's just like, wait, like, this is crazy because but I do at the same time, I'm like, wait, I remember when I was that in your shoes. So it is
Mhm.
like, and so looking back at it, it's like, very cool to kind of see all those different angles. And that goes the same with the confidence in just even my identity of who I am. When
Mhm.
I'm a teenager, it's very different. Now I'm 30. Like I have so much, my life experience has grown. I've gotten to travel a lot more, see a lot more people, compete a lot more. I think you just get to know yourself too in
Mhm.
so many different ways. You just grow up as a person. But then to get to be a part of the sport as an adult that way, I think you get to or I get to bring a whole nother like level of maturity and experience. And um, it's also really cool to like I mentioned too, with expressing yourself through sport, like going from a place where like I was doing different programs that my choreographer was having me do so I could learn a different style of movement or tell a different story, to now like I'm like, oh, this is the story I want to tell.
Mhm.
Or like, oh wait, I want to do this piece of music because I relate to it in this way because of some life experience. Or I'm kind of want to do it because it taps into an emotion that I like a certain emotion that I feel or I want to portray. So I think it's also that exploration and that growth is also super apparent and has changed over time.
Well, I have to say, I really like your short hair like that. It's
Thank you.
you're
I
so
do
cute.
too. I do too. Thanks.
It
I
looks great.
appreciate it. Thank you. I use
Okay.
I use Rogaine every day, so I'm like, please, like I like want to make it last as long as it's possible. My parents, my grandparents are all bald, so I'm like, please. Well,
Oh.
my grand, not my mom. I should have said not my parents. My dad. Well, I love him so much, but does not have hair. But I'm just like, come on, come on. I'm doing whatever I can. So thanks.
Uh, okay. You're now a role model for many queer youth around the world. What would you want to say to a young LGBTQ plus person who's struggling with self-worth and identity?
When it comes to the self-worth piece, because I think that's, whether it's with sexuality or whether it's with a different component in your life, I think just that self-worth piece is something that we all struggle with, like regardless of sexuality. That's something that I've dealt with for so much of my career, feeling like you deserve to be, whether it's at a certain competition or like deserve to be valued in a certain way, or there's always that self-worth that I think we're always hard on ourselves about.
Mm,
So I think like first and foremost when it comes to that, I think it's, in a lot of ways it's just like knowing that you're not alone in those situations. I think also throughout my career I've had the privilege of like training with Olympic champions, world champions, and people that I thought were just like untouchable.
mhm,
And like getting to really know them and like seeing how much they struggle as well and how much like they're dealing with things, of course, it might be on a different level or severity than others, but it's like they're also, going through the same stuff. And I think that made me respect them even more and like really admire what they do even more, because it's easy so often to like watch someone compete and be like, well, they're always good. They don't get nervous. They don't
mhm,
struggle. They're not dealing with anything. And you're just like, that is
yeah,
so, so far from it.
mhm,
You just don't see what goes on behind like the training doors, or
mhm,
what um and the amount of work. So I think like first and foremost, I feel like it's just kind of reiterating the fact that like you're truly not alone in that experience. And so hopefully that makes, it's at least a reminder that I know it can feel, especially when you're dealing with kind of going through that sexuality piece, you can feel so alone because you're afraid to tell someone or you don't know how someone will react. So it's like you conceal a part of yourself.
mhm,
So I think the biggest thing, just first and foremost, is like you are not alone in what you're experiencing. Yeah, I guess it's just, I feel like just know that there are so many people out there that are supporting you and that like are going through similar experiences, and like there is a community there, even whether it feels like it or not. So I think that's first and foremost. And then I think another huge part with that identity piece and that struggle is just constantly reminding yourself how. So another kind of analogy with skating that I just that has been such a beacon for me
Mhm.
is I always with and as you know, in our sport, like with that expressive piece, it's like everyone can skate to the same piece of music, but the way they interpret it is can be completely different. And the way
Mhm.
that people skate is completely different. And I think the way that people perform, and I really want people to be able to tap into that uniqueness and the fact of like what they bring to the table is so special and so unique and so individually themselves,
Mhm.
and to kind of own that part of them and know that like that's what makes the world, and whether it's the skating world or like the world at large, a better
Yep.
place, is the fact that like everyone will bring their own style, their own unique viewpoint, their own perspective to what they're doing. And so if you kind of hide that part of yourself or try to conform, of course it's a disservice to yourself, but it's like a disservice to the population, whether it's skating population, population at large. Like it's like just know that like what you bring to the table is so valued. And like you if you bring your whole self to the table,
Mhm.
like it's valued even more. So I think, and if it's not valued in the place when you're in, then you're around the wrong people. You know, like you really want to,
Yep.
of course, be around people that like support you and lift you up. But I think you, but I think being able to do that and have the courage to do that, there is so much strength in that. And so I just really want people to know just how strong that they are.
So, in a world where LGBTQ plus rights are still under threat in many places, how do you use your platform to create impact or spark change?
That's, you know what? I feel like there's so much more that I could be doing. I think right now, with being an athlete, really focusing on hopefully qualifying for my third Olympic Games, I'm really focused on the sport aspect
Mhm.
and the visibility aspect. So it's more about being the best version of myself, being living my authentic life, like really showcasing that and doing so proudly, being genuine, being supportive in any way that I can. That said, when it comes to the advocacy piece, something that I've tapped into as much when it comes to whether it's politics or whether it's going down to vocalizing, like what you mentioned, like rights being taken away or those types of struggles. Of course, I like, as any, hopefully US citizen, I use my rights to vote. I'm very like, active that way. But when it comes to vocalizing things right now, just with the focus on the skating, I'm really and where I am in life at this moment, I'm really focused on that visibility piece
Mhm.
for the time being. That's not to say maybe in a couple years or down the road that could change. But I think I really want, especially when when I go out to compete and
Mhm.
I'm representing my country and I'm representing US figure skating, I really want it to be about the skating because I've
Mhm.
worked and dedicated so much of my life and my time to that. And I know how there can become so many stories around athletes, and like
Yeah.
the narrative can be taken away from us so quickly when it comes
Mhm.
to big events, that like I'm happy to answer any questions always, like, but in terms of like the being like an advocate or an
Mhm.
activist that way, like I'm really focused more on just being, like I mentioned, that genuine person that I am, and representing myself and the people around me and the sport and my country the very best that I can, and and I am kind of leaving it all on the ice.
For being yourself, you're already doing a lot. You're a great
Thank
role model
you.
already. So I think that's already a lot. You're doing a lot.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, the theme of my podcast is moving forward. What does that mean to you right now in your personal life, your journey, and your purpose?
Ooh, That's a great question. Oh no, such a good question. Starting in my life right now, obviously my kind of have blinders up at the moment. It's the Olympic season. I'm really, like I mentioned earlier, hoping to qualify for my third Olympic team. So when it comes to kind of like moving forward, that like honestly, my focus right now is really like blinders up, kind of full steam ahead to hopefully qualify for that. So that's really what I'm thinking about there. In terms of my personal life, right now it's about skating. At this moment, I would love, my fingers still crossed after February. I would love to date more. Like I would love to get out. I'd love to, put myself out in those situations to meet other people.
Mhm.
That's not, to be completely honest, like that's just not where I'm at right now. Like I deleted all the apps from my phone. Like like don't get me wrong, I wish, but like I'm like no, like no, I need to like I just really wanted to lock in. So
Mhm.
that personal life has kind of like, is hey, I've had a long career. I've loved this career. It can wait. That personal side can wait a little longer.
It's okay.
But so yeah, so I'm really, I guess with moving forward, it's really just like that focus on doing everything I can to tell the stories that I want to tell this year. Being able to be, visible, like you mentioned, just being myself and coming into any interviews and uh, competitions and events. And by doing so, by bringing my entire self to that. And I think what's really cool about Olympic years is that like we are more visible in those situations. So I think if I can just keep being who I am and sharing that with the world or whoever wants to watch, like I am grateful. And if I can get more people interested in skating and excited about the Olympics, then that would make me feel so proud and excited, because I really do want to share this sport with the world and get more people involved, and so that's really important to me. And then I guess we'll see after hopefully this season what life may bring.
We'll see you at the Olympics, I know for sure.
I hope
Oh,
so,
yeah, yeah,
Sam.
yeah,
I
yeah.
hope so.
So after the Olympics, if you're still in Toronto, I have something to ask you. Okay,
Okay.
I've had the chance to interview Eric Radford, and
Yeah,
we
of
went
course.
skating together, and we did a side by side double jump, a double sout.
Love it.
So I hope I can get to meet you one day, and I can do another double. I don't,
Yes.
that would be
Deal. We can
so,
shake on it. If
so
we're in the
close.
same place at the same time and we get on
Like you're
ice.
really close. Yeah, I don't know if you ever come to Montreal, but anyway, if I go to Toronto or whatever, I'm not going to disturb you before the Olympics.
Sounds good. Oh, and Montreal's amazing.
Yeah, so if you ever
Love
come, let me know.
Montreal.
That'd be so cool.
Okay.
That would be
Oh
really
my
cool.
God. No, that'd be awesome. No, love it. Love it out there.
My God, thank you so much. You're so
N-
cool.
uh, No, thank you.
No, that's
Anytime.
so cool.
No,
That's so
love
cool.
talking to you. Thank you.
That's so
And
cool.
I know you skate. What's your background?
Well, I used to skate, and I went up to nationals in Canada.
Okay.
I quit pretty young. I quit at
Mm-hmm.
17.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, I joined the ice show. I joined Ice Capades, Holiday on Ice.
Wow.
Then
Okay.
I skated with a professional show here that we were traveling. So I did like a lot of skating. Quit all that. I was coaching. Then I came back to adult competitions in my mid 30s. I'm 56 now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I would have
So
never guessed.
you're being too sweet.
No,
Anyway,
dead serious.
so and then I did some adult competitions. I really loved it. Then I did nothing for over 15 years, and now I'm back. It's really
Wow.
tough, but I'm loving it.
That's
And so when I go
amazing.
to Oberstdorf, I don't know if you know, there's like a big
Yes,
competition in
dude, of
Oberstdorf.
course.
So
Absolutely. That's
I did
amazing.
the first ones. I did like a few first one. It's such a great experience.
Also the
Midorito
best
was
place.
there,
Yes.
Gary Beacom, all that. So
Oh,
I'm I'm going like next year in
that's
26.
amazing.
So I've been doing a few little competitions this year. I've been back on the ice for a year.
Wow.
So, but like I skate about 3 hours a week. So it's like but still, like we still
Yeah.
have to do like a full 3 minute program. It's
Yes.
real, it's hell.
Yes.
But
Oh no, Tracy,
uh,
there was a time where I was like gonna like I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna still compete. Like I really she's like, she goes, I know from past experience, like if there's an even a slight chance that you want to compete, like don't take off a year. She goes, coming back and starting to like train and get into those programs, like even if you do like a like she was like, and that's kind of where it I ended up doing 2 years where I just did half years, like half competition years, seasons. And it was because Tracy was like, no, no, no. Like she's like, it's just like keep one foot in the door if you're like even contemplating it. And it's kind of like what you're saying. Like, no, it is like it's crazy how much the body kind of forgets and how much it remembers, but then also like how like certain aspects where you're like, how am I going to make it through these 3 minutes or these four
okay, yeah,
minutes
but
or running
I think
programs again?
we have the same rules. I mean, we're not doing the same hard stuff,
Wow.
but it's still like, the levels and the footwork and then the combos and it's really but I'm having the time of my life. It's great. It's
I'm
so much
so
fun for
glad
me.
to hear that.
So yeah, so I'm gonna do some little competitions, in the fall and the winter, and then there's like the gay games also.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you heard about that too.
I've heard about it. I don't know much about it, but
Okay.
I have heard like
I've
about
done
them, but
the 94 and the 98. It was
okay.
I have an episode actually. There's a really funny story, but anyway. So the games are in Spain in June
Oh
too.
my,
So I want to
oh,
do that too. But
you should. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. So
And
that's
how many sports? Or is it like across winter, summer, all the
it's
above?
everything. It's all the
Wow.
sports. It's a cultural event. It's really cool. It's really cool. But
Wow.
yeah, so that's it.
So neat.
Well, thank you so much.
No, my gosh, truly. Anytime. Thank you for reaching out. And I wish you all the best. Enjoy the rest of
You
your
too.
summer and have a great year.
So, Jason, that was so cool to have you with us. Thank you so much. And we'll be following you this year and at the Olympics too, for sure.
Thank you so much, Steph. That means so, so much to me. And yeah, thank you all for listening.
And I'll see you later for a double jump somewhere.
I can't wait. Thank
Okay.
you so much. Have a
Bye.
great night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much, Jason. How cool was that? Like me, Steph, talking with Jason Brown on my podcast? Wow. It was really hard to stay focused during the interview. I kept thinking, is this for real? I was so nervous before the interview, but he made me feel so much more comfortable right away. He's so easygoing and humble and kind. You're truly a role model for all of us. And now you're definitely on top of my list of all time favorites. And he's just so adorable and so cute. You just want to squeeze him and give him a big hug, don't we? So I'll let you do your Olympic magic. And then I need to do my side by side double jump on the ice with you. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, leave a comment, and let us know your thoughts. My dear friends, it is already time to say au revoir just for now. This was the last episode of season 2, and we will be back on September 24 for season 3. We will still be very active on social media until then. I suggest you check out the episodes you haven't listened to yet of season 1 and 2, or even rewatch the one you've already seen and learn something new. And please share them. Everybody, share this podcast and spread the good news. By sharing this podcast today, you will help someone find the strength to embrace who they truly are. Wherever you are from in the world, we are all connected. Remember, solidarity beats hate. The more we unite, the stronger we become. Because at the end of the day, we are all equally human and we all deserve the same rights. One last thing before I go, put your hand on your heart and repeat after me, all of us together. I am proud of my identity and where I come from. Yeah, I am proud of my identity and where I come from. Please subscribe now. Your follow helps me keep this podcast alive and growing for our community. My dear friends, see you on September 24 for the first episode of season 3. Ciao. Subscribe now and share to uplift, empower, and make a real difference in our community.